Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Shibley with the company Verifyle. Let's go ahead and get started with today's presentation of Verifyle Pro. All of us here at Verifyle are extremely pleased about the partnership we now have in place between COCPA and Verifyle. And all of you as COCPA members should know that as a result of this partnership, you now get access to the paid version of Verifyle, the premium version of Verifyle, which is Verifyle Pro at no charge to you or anyone at all with whom you would like to share information. You get access to the full suite of capabilities inside your Verifyle Pro system, including the ability to brand it as you would like, and also unlimited electronic signature requests. You can access your Verifyle Pro system by clicking on the link in emails from COCPA, or simply go to verifyle.com and be sure to sign in using the email address by which COCPA recognizes you to be a member, or else your credit card number will be requested of you. But you shouldn't have to supply that because COCPA has picked up that tab for you. Okay. Quick caveat here, I am not a CPA or tax expert. However, I'm going to be showing you some very useful sharing examples to stress the key concepts for use behind Verifyle so that you can be up and rolling as quickly as possible with your Verifyle Pro system. There are professionals currently using Verifyle for sharing purposes, and others are using it for secure storage purposes. There are a number of CPAs who are using Verifyle mainly for sharing information securely among their colleagues and perhaps other consultants and so forth. Other professionals use Verifyle exclusively for securely sharing sensitive information back and forth with their clients. Others still use Verifyle for securely and selectively sharing sensitive personal or family information. I'll be showing you a number of these examples as we go through today's demonstration. Okay, let's start by me giving you a little bit of quick background information about Verifyle. Verifyle is based in Silicon Valley, and we are led by Jack Smith, who is the individual who invented and co-founded the company Hotmail, which was many people's first experience with both email and the internet. He also had leading roles with two successful digital security companies, Ironport and Proxmex. Verifyle is all about making communication better. And we see two key aspects of communication. Those are security and productivity, neither of which should come at the expense of usability. The reason we place such persistent emphasis on security is that we believe the near-term future of business communications will be characterized by two types of organizations and professionals. Those who successfully make that extra effort to protect and secure their own information and that of their constituents, and continue to reap the long-term trust relationship benefits that derive from that. And those organizations and professionals who do not protect that information and see a gradual erosion in those trust relationships. We believe that the dividing line between those two types of professionals is going to crystallize in a major way over the next several years, and we want to make sure that all of our users fall on the positive side of that line. So, what is Verifyle? Verifyle is ultra-secure messaging and document sharing, all on a single screen, where in that single screen, for each situation that you're working on, whether that be a client engagement, project management, or any kind of sharing or storage of sensitive information, you can see exactly who has access to what information, and if and when any single individual has looked at or downloaded any information. So you always have a very heightened sense of situational awareness about what's going on with your communication. You can think of Verifyle as your all-in-one communication power tool, specifically designed for those situations that you have to be absolutely on top of, that must be well organized and above all private and secure. Now, in our secure single screen, we've incorporated the most powerful components of email, cloud file sharing, and our patented encryption key management technology, CellUcrypt, which manages the interaction of 6 different encryption keys for each time that any individual accesses any single piece of information inside of Verifyle. So each data item inside of Verifyle has been individually encrypted, such that even if somebody were to break past our encryption, which they won't, all they would be able to access would be a single data item, and that's it. There's no potential for someone to break into Verifyle and scoop mass amounts of data to gain what we call bulk access, as they have done with systems like those at JP Morgan Chase, Experian, Home Depot, Target, Hilton, Wendy's, Sony, Verizon, Anthem to the tune of something like 80 million individuals' data files, or Equifax to the tune of something like 140 million individuals' data files. In fact, with Verifyle, there's no real incentive for someone to try and break in the first place, because there's not that potential for a large-scale return on that hacker's efforts. So this is a huge reduction in risk for anyone who uses Verifyle. In fact, we would go as far as to say that it's a complete game changer in terms of your overall information risk profile. And we'll talk more about how this impacts you directly as we go through today's demonstration. As we go through the demonstration, please bear in mind that you will be seeing the Verifyle system from my perspective, the perspective of a user. And please note that even though Verifyle is backed by all of this encryption technology, by all of this security, as users, we don't need to create any encryption keys, memorize any encryption keys, manage or share any encryption keys at all. It all happens automatically, completely behind the scenes for us. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. All of you should now be able to see the sign-in screen for Verifyle, which you can access using any of the major browsers, and it doesn't matter whether you're using a Mac, a PC, or a tablet computer. You should also feel free to use our handy mobile app if you would like. I'm going to sign in using my email address and my password, and then clicking Next. Okay, I have selected the option inside of Verifyle such that an authenticator code is being requested of me. This is my second factor of authentication on top of my password. Okay, so the authenticator code is a code which appears on my mobile device, in this case, my mobile phone, and which changes every 30 seconds. The benefit of using this authenticator code is that even if somebody does somehow get a hold of my password, they still won't be able to access my Verifyle system unless they also have my mobile phone. Okay, and please note that I do have the option to click in this little box right here, which effectively tells Verifyle, hey, Verifyle, if you see that subsequent sign-in attempts come from this same device and the same browser, you can assume it's me, and you don't need to ask me for the secondary authenticator code. All right, so I'll type in the authenticator code. And now I'm in Verifyle. I'm in my Verifyle Pro system on the home screen. And the first thing I want to point out to you is that if you look toward the top center of your screen, you'll see the COCPA logo. If you share information with anyone using your Verifyle Pro system, then that person or persons will see that COCPA logo pop up as a default. However, you do have the option to swap that out for any logo of your choosing by simply clicking on your name at the top right and then going into the account settings area and adding whatever logo that you would like. We'll take a look at that in a little more detail as we move forward here. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you is that there are effectively 2 major areas inside of your Verifyle system, okay? There's the Workspaces area, which we are in right now, but there's also the Contacts area, and we can get there by simply clicking on the Contacts tab here at the top left. Let's do that. Click. All right, now I'm inside the Contacts area, and you can see here my list of contacts. These are people with whom I can communicate quickly and securely on a one-to-one basis anytime I would like by simply clicking on their name. Here I can say I've clicked on the name Larry Lenderbank. Private messages with Larry Lenderbank has opened up in the center of my screen here. And I can easily type any message that I would like here to securely share with Larry Lenderbank. And I can click on the paperclip symbol here to upload any document that I would like. Let's look at a more realistic example. Let's say that I meet someone, a new person, and I want to be able to quickly and securely communicate with that person. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol in the Contacts tab, like that. And let's say that the person is named Christine Carson. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Christine's name and email address, like that. And I click Add. Now you can see that Christine Carson's name has been added to my contacts list. And you can see in the center here, private messages with Christine Carson. So I'll go ahead and type a message to Christine. And I'm going to upload a document for her as well by clicking on the paperclip symbol. And in a moment, you'll see that this interface, this simple interface right here, is exactly what Christine sees on her side as well. Okay, let me click on the paperclip symbol, and I'm going to upload the document called Annuity Policy. There we go. And click Send. That information is all encrypted as it is uploaded into the Verifyle system. Okay, there you can see the private message, hello Christine, and also the document Annuity Policy. And you can see the Annuity Policy document expanded on over here where I can do some work on it if I would like. We'll take a look at that in just a moment here. But the most important thing to keep in mind right now is that as I have pulled this information into Verifyle, the Verifyle system has automatically, completely behind the scenes, sent an email alert to Christine Carson's regular email box, letting her know that I, Dana Shibley, am sharing with her an annuity policy document and a private message securely inside of Verifyle. Okay, that email alert does not contain the actual content of my communication. In other words, she does not get to see the actual private message of hello Christine, nor can she access the annuity policy document. She is simply being alerted that that information awaits her securely inside of Verifyle. Now, she can click on the link in that email alert, which will bring her into Verifyle, where she can either create a password or click straight through on the automatically generated password and then be able to see the private message of hello Christine and also the annuity policy document. If she looks at that annuity policy document, I will immediately receive an email alert letting me know that she has looked at it. If she downloads the annuity policy document, similarly, I will immediately receive an email alert letting me know that she has downloaded that information. So I have, again, that heightened sense of situational awareness about exactly what's going on the other side of my communication. Now, some of you might be asking, why didn't Verifyle just send this information to Christine Carson's regular email? The reason for that is that email is not secure. We don't want to be sending sensitive information back and forth via email, but it is safe and secure inside of Verifyle. Okay, so Christine Carson has got this information from me, and let's go ahead and take a look at exactly what this appears like from Christine's perspective. So I'm now going to sign in briefly as Christine Carson. Okay, I'm signing in as Christine. Okay, I'm in as Christine Carson. I would have received that email alert, or if I was already inside of Verifyle, I would have seen this internal alert here first. So I, Christine Carson, click on the Contact tab here, and I can see the private message from Dana. Hello, Christine. Okay, and I can click on Annuity Policy document here, or I can click on it over here. Let's say that I, Christine, first decided to take a quick look at this document, so I click on Preview. All right, that just sent an email alert to Dana, by the way. And let's say I now decide to download the document, okay? The annuity policy document. That also just sent an email alert to Dana, okay? And that information is logged for Dana to reference anytime that he would like. Okay, now I, Christine, I'm going to go ahead and send a message to Dana. Thanks, Dana. FYI, I think I would like to involve my attorney in this communication as well. Okay, and I click send. Okay, and now let's go back and look from Dana's perspective. Okay, so I'm now back in Verifyle as Dana, and there I can see the messages popped up from Christine Carson. Thanks, Dana. FYI, I would like to involve my attorney in this communication as well. So the main point here is that I have shown you how using Verifyle, you can very quickly and easily have a secure, heavily encrypted communication with anyone simply by going to the contacts area in Verifyle, clicking the plus symbol, and adding that person's name and email address. Okay. Now, in my communication with Christine Carson, it becomes apparent that there's a good chance she may actually become a client of mine. Okay. And as a client of mine, I may need some higher level communication capabilities in communicating with Christine. I can see here already that she's asking me to pull another person into the communication, her attorney. Okay, so by higher level communication capabilities, I'm talking about capabilities such as involving multiple people in this communication. And I'm talking about situations where I may want to remove some of those people from the communication in the future. And I may want to remove some of the documents that I have shared with people or that they have shared with others because those documents become old or obsolete. I'm talking about the fact that I might want multiple threads of communication with Christine Carson and other folks, because Christine Carson has asked me not only to help her, for example, with tax planning, but also with her estate planning. To manage all of these types of things, I want to start communicating with Christine in a workspace. So I'm going to click on the Workspaces tab right here. And you can see here already there exists a number of workspaces. These are situations for which I've probably been working with a number of people and maybe over an extended period of time. And I want to really control exactly who's part of what different communication threads within each of these workspaces. And I want the ability to delete information as I would like to. I want the ability to pull people in and remove them from certain communications in each of these workspaces, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I'm anticipating I might want those same capabilities with Christine Carson. So I'm going to create a workspace. And I do that by clicking on the plus symbol in the Workspaces tab. Click. And let's call this workspace Client Christine Carson. There it is. Okay, new workspace. The host is me, Dana Shibley. I am the host of this workspace because I am the creator of this workspace. Anyone that I pull into this workspace will be a guest. As a guest, those people do not have the ability that I do to delete documents, to pull anyone that they would like into the workspace, and to add different threads of communication. Only I can do those things because I am the host, the creator, the orchestrator of this workspace. So let's click on this new workspace called Client Christine Carson. Click. All right, here I am inside the workspace called Client Christine Carson. And the Verifyle system is prompting me to add a guest. So I click on Add a Guest, and I'm going to begin by doing a search for Christine Carson. There she is. And I click Add One. All right, so now the Verifyle system has automatically added Christine Carson's name into the guests here and pulled in the private messages communication that I already began with Christine Carson in the contacts area, because the Verifyle system is making the assumption that I may want the ability to have a one-to-one communication with Christine Carson at times that I'm working inside the larger workspace environment here. The reason that I created this workspace, Client Christine Carson, in the first place was so that I could take advantage of those higher level communication capabilities, and I can take advantage of those in the workspace threads area. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol here for workspace threads, and I'm going to create one workspace thread called tax planning. There we go. And I'm going to create another one called, let's say, estate planning. There we go. All right, so I'm going to click on the tax planning workspace thread, and you can see here that it is private. No guests have access yet, and I can see that in the center. Tax planning, no guests have access yet. And I'm going to begin by pulling the appropriate people into this tax planning workspace thread. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to go over to the left here, and something I want to point out to you that's very important for you to remember is that in Verifyle, whenever you're unsure how to move forward, whenever things are unclear, move your cursor around and look for the gear. When things are unclear, go to the gear. So I'm going to click on the gear symbol here, and I'm going to then click on Manage Permissions, which lets me determine who gets access to this workspace thread. So I click on Manage Permissions, and I give Christine Carson access to this workspace thread. Just like that, Christine Carson. But remember, she also asked me to pull in her spouse. Let's say that her spouse is her husband named Sammy Spouse. Okay, so what do? I want to give him access to this workspace thread as well. I go to the gear. I click on Manage Permissions. I'm going to click here to add a guest. Now, Sammy Spouse is not in my contacts list because I've never communicated with him before. So I need to add him by clicking there. So I'm going to add Sammy Spouse. There we go. And now you can see that Sammy Spouse has been added. And I click here to save. And I can now see that Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse both have access to the tax planning workspace thread. So I'll type a message for them. Let's do taxes. I'll click on the paperclip symbol to add some tax documents here. How about if I add in a 1041, a 1099 DIV, and how about a form 8878? And I can just drag and drop those documents in if I would like, just like that. I click send. That information is all encrypted as it is pulled into Verifyle. And I can see here now the 3 documents. And I can see that Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse have access to these 3 documents plus the message that I type here. Let's do taxes. If I look over here to the right, I can see the 3 different documents expanded on. And as I move my cursor, what do you know? I see the gear icon. Okay. Now I can click on any of these gear icons just like that, and I can see a number of different options that I have with respect to the document. I can rename the document. I can view the access history of exactly who has looked at this particular document, how many times and when. I can do things like download the document, download multiple documents from this workspace thread, and I can even delete the document. But importantly, only I can delete the document because I am the host of this workspace. Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse do not have the ability to delete any documents here. All right, and under each of the documents, you can also see colored tiles, which I can cross-reference here over on the left and see exactly who has access to each document. Okay, let's go to the other workspace thread, which is estate planning. So I'm now in the estate planning workspace thread, and no guests have access yet. It's private. So I'm going to click on the gear symbol, click on Manage Permissions. I'm going to give access to Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse, just like that. Now they both have access. Oh, but Christine Carson asked me to pull in her attorney as well, remember? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to estate planning. I'm going to click on Manage Permissions. And let's say that I pull in her attorney, Lisa Lawyer, just like that. Okay. So now Lisa Lawyer is in the estate planning workspace thread, and I'll type a message for all of them. Let's work on estate planning issues. And I will click on the paperclip symbol to upload some documents for estate planning. How about asset allocation, fiduciary agreement, last will and testament, and life insurance policy. So I'll pull in those 4 documents, click send. That information is encrypted as it's pulled into Verifyle. All right, so I've shared those 4 documents and this private message with those 3 individuals. And here you can see the 4 different documents on the right as well. Okay, now before I move forward any further here, it occurs to me that as I'm working on things related to client Christine Carson, that it sure would be nice to have a place where I could have information at my fingertips, only accessible by me. whenever I'm thinking about estate planning or tax planning or anything related to client Christine Carson. Well, that's easy enough to set up. I can simply click on the plus symbol here, and I'm going to create a new thread that I call My Reference Materials, just like that. Okay, there it is, My Reference Materials. It's private. No guests have access yet, and I don't plan on giving any guests access. And I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol, and I'm going to add a few documents in here. How about asset list, and how about annual report document? We'll just go with that. All right, those two documents. Click send. Okay, now those two documents reside inside of my workspace thread called My Reference Materials. Nobody else has access to those two documents. They're just there for me. But each of these documents is encrypted by 6 unique encryption keys, just like everything else that I put in Verifyle, which I happen to be sharing with other people, right? And at any time in the future, if I would like, as you know, I can simply go, move my cursor around, find the appropriate gear symbol here, and go to manage permissions to give other people access to these documents. All right, so hopefully by now you're getting the sense for how I can use workspace threads, which effectively function as subfolders within the larger client Christine Carson workspace. And in each of these workspace threads, I can selectively choose individuals, documents, and messages to share with people, okay? And if I want to communicate with anybody on a one-to-one basis, I can simply click on their name in the guests area here and communicate with them one-to-one. All right, let's see what this looks like from one of the guests' perspectives, Christine Carson. I'm going to go back in as Christine Carson, and I go to the Workspaces tab, and I can see that there is a new workspace for me called Client Christine Carson. I click on it, and I have the ability to see 2 workspace threads here. I don't see the workspace thread created by my host, Dana Shibley. I don't see the workspace thread called My Reference Materials because the host, Dana Shibley, has not given me access to that workspace thread. I don't even know that it exists. I don't know that there might exist many other workspace threads. So in the tax planning workspace thread, I'm going to go ahead and I'll take a look at these documents. By taking a look at the documents, it clears the alerts, right? I'll now go into the estate planning workspace thread. There are a number of different documents here. So let's go ahead and clear these alerts out of here. And for life insurance policy, I want to go ahead and take a quick look at that. So I, Christine, click on preview. That just sent an email alert to Dana that I looked at that. And when I download the document like that, that also just sent an email alert to Dana, okay? Now let's say that as I'm thinking about estate planning issues, and I'm looking in here and seeing, okay, Dana's taking good care of me here, my good CPA. I see that my spouse, Sammy, is in here, and my attorney, Lisa Lawyer's in here as well, supposedly helping me out. But you know what? We've been working on this estate planning stuff for a while, and Lisa really hasn't contributed much. I don't think that she's being very helpful here, and she's very expensive. So I want Lisa Lawyer to be out of this estate planning workspace thread. Do I have the ability to extract Lisa Lawyer from the estate planning workspace thread? The answer is no, I do not, because I myself am a guest in this workspace thread. Only Dana, the host, has the ability to remove Lisa. So I can type a message right here to Dana to remove Lisa Lawyer, but I probably don't want to put that message here because Lisa Lawyer is going to see it. So what I'm going to do instead is click on Dana's name right here and type a message to him. Dana, please get rid of the attorney Lisa. Okay, so I, Christine Carson, type that message to Dana. Okay, and now let's go back and look from Dana's perspective. Okay, so I'm back in as Dana, and I see the message from my client, Christine Carson. Dana, please get rid of the attorney Lisa. Oh, okay, so I see this, and I realize, of course, that Lisa Lawyer is in the estate planning workspace thread, and how do I get rid of her? I click on the gear symbol here, I click on manage permissions, and I remove Lisa Lawyer just like that. Okay, and now you can see up here that Lisa Lawyer's name is gone. She no longer has access to this information. And let's say that Christine Carson, shortly thereafter, asks me to bring in her new attorney. Okay, so I go to the gear symbol, I click on Manage Permissions, and I'm now going to bring in the new attorney who, let's say, is Lenny Lawyers. There we go. So I just brought in the new attorney, Lenny Lawyers. You can see his name right there. Now, in reality, there might be hundreds of time and date stamped messages in here, right? Over 6 months or even years, and dozens of documents. It sure is handy that in Verifyle, I can, in less than 30 seconds, remove a person, Lisa Lawyer, and bring in that person's replacement, Lenny Lawyers, and give Lenny Lawyers access to the entire historical record of all the communications related to estate planning for client Christine Carson, right? Try doing that using email or email attachments. It's darn near impossible. All right, the other thing in Verifyle that's very important for you to know about here is, if you recall, Christine Carson went in and took a look at the life insurance policy, remember? So I'm going to go over here and go to the gear for the life insurance policy. I click on the gear symbol, and I'm going to click on View Access History. And I can see here that Lenny Lawyers has not yet accessed the life insurance policy document. Not surprising, he just got access. Sammy's spouse has not looked at it either. But Christine Carson has looked at the life insurance policy 2 times. All right, so I'm going to click here, and I can see the exact dates and times that Christine Carson has looked at this information. This is super useful for raising my situational awareness with respect to communicating with Christine Carson. If she's looked at a document 15 times, which I'll be able to see here, it's probably a fantastic tip-off to me that that's a very important document to her. Similarly, I can see that if she just looked at a document 20 minutes ago and I have a call scheduled with her in a half hour, there's a very high likelihood she's going to want to ask me questions about that particular document. So this helps me be on my toes. It helps me be prepared to communicate with that client of mine and service that client as well as possible. Similarly, anytime you're in any thread in Verifyle, be that a workspace thread like estate planning that we're in right now, or even in a private message thread, you can always click on people's names and see when they were last in here looking. So Lenny Lawyers has not viewed the information in here yet. But if I click on Christine Carson's name, I can see the exact date and time that she was last in here, letting me know how recent this information is in her mind. Very, very important information, all helping me heighten my situational awareness. Okay, moving forward. I think that it's very important for all of you to see how signatures work since you're CPAs. So let's take a look at electronic signatures inside of Verifyle. I'm going to go to the tax planning workspace thread, and then I am going to upload a document. So I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol here, and let's choose a document for Christine Carson to sign. How about engagement letter? Okay. I probably would have actually had her sign that earlier, but just for example's sake, let's go with the engagement letter. I'm going to type a message in here for Christine. Christine, please sign this document. Now, if I click send here, what's going to happen is that the Verifyle system is simply going to share the engagement letter with Christine. However, I want a signature from her. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put a check in the box to request signing, and then I'm going to click send. Okay. Now, I want Christine Carson to sign this document, and I click next. Okay, I have a couple of decisions to make here. Do I want the signer to agree to the terms below? Here are the terms. I agree to do business electronically. And by the way, I can change these to be any words that I would like. Although I think in this industry, these words probably make the most sense for you. I also have the ability to click here, no, do not include a statement of terms, but I do want her to agree to do business electronically, so I'll go ahead and leave this in. Do I want to add SMS verification to the signature process? Yes, I want to add that as well. So check there. And now Verifyle is prompting me to add the phone number for Christine Carson, where she will receive a code. Okay, so I'm going to add her mobile phone number in here. I know that to be Christine Carson's mobile phone number, so I've added that, and now I click Next. So now I can see the engagement letter, and here what I'm doing is moving my mouse, which you can see moves the cursor on the screen here, and I'm simply going to go to the area where I want to get Christine Carson's signature. I'll draw a rectangle right here, and I choose that I want that to be signature. I'm going to, let's say, draw another rectangle here, and let's say this is where I want the date to be, and down here at the bottom corner, let's say I want to get Christine Carson's initials. Okay, just like that. And now I click Submit Request. And the Verifyle system has, as you might expect, sent an email alert automatically to Christine Carson, letting her know that Dana Shibley, using Verifyle, is requesting a signature on the engagement letter document from her. Okay, so let's go ahead now and sign back in as Christine Carson. I'm back in as Christine Carson. I go to the tax planning workspace thread, and here I can see that a signature is being requested of me on the engagement letter document. All right, so I'm going to click here to review and sign this document. So I, Christine Carson, click on Review and Sign. And if I click No here, indicating that I do not agree to do business electronically, I will not be allowed to proceed and sign this document. So I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. All right, and the signature code, which I have received on my mobile phone, is being requested of me. So I will go ahead and add that. And I confirm my signature. I confirm that my signature goes here, for the date here, and my initials here. Okay, and I have the option to type a message back to Dana. Like that, and I click Submit. And as you would expect, the Verifyle system has automatically sent an email alert to Dana, letting him know that the signed engagement letter awaits him. Here you can see the document, engagement letter _ signed. And when I go into Verifyle again as Dana, I can see the signed document now. Engagement letter _ signed. I can click on it here or over here, either way. And let's say that I decide to preview the document. So I click Preview. And I scroll down and I can see where Christine Carson has signed, dated, and initialed this document as I requested. Okay, and I have the ability to click here to view signing info, where I can see various data related to the source document, the signed document, right? I can see that I was the signature requester. I can see here information about the signer, Christine Carson, including her IP address per IRS requirements. And I can see that she has agreed to do business electronically and also successfully passed the identity verification. Okay, I can print this out in PDF format or hard copy if I would like to. All right, now the other thing I should point out here is that for any PDF inside of Verifyle, you can always click on Preview, and you do have the ability to click on the purple button here to edit the document. So here I can, for example, change the order of the pages inside of this document. I can click on the X to delete pages in this document. I can click here to add annotation to the document if I would like. Right? And I also have the ability to merge documents if I would like inside of Verifyle Pro. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and close out of here. And what I'd like to do now is just point out before we move forward that there are some very subtle things about Verifyle that are extremely important. One of them is that for your clients who would appreciate it, it is very valuable that you can create workspace threads to help that client have a very organized kind of portfolio view of their various financials that you're helping them with. Okay, so for example, for some of your clients, you might have workspace threads called Tax Planning 2022, Taxes 2021, Taxes 2020, 2019, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a client who happens to be in heavy equipment or real estate, it might behoove you to create a workspace thread called Depreciation Issues, and so on and so forth. So whenever that client goes into Verifyle, they're not just seeing a scramble of different information like they might see in email, but they will see an organized professional presentation of all of the tax, financial, and other planning that you might happen to be doing for them. All right. Another important thing for you to notice, which is easily overlooked, is that we've effectively been working inside of a single pane of glass here for the client Christine Carson workspace. And a wonderful thing happens when you get all of this information in a single location. And that is that that information becomes more tangible. It's easier for you to wrap your head around and think strategically about. Here where we are in Silicon Valley, there are a number of companies that would try to have you believe that having multiple pages and multiple screens and multiple modules is very, very powerful and what you should strive for. But the reality is that nothing could be farther from the truth. Great software is characterized by software that allows you to understand more while looking at less. Software that allows you to accomplish more while doing less. And Verifyle allows you to do that by having all of this information for a particular client, for example, be in this single pane of glass, which makes it so that whenever you're thinking about this particular client, you have all of this information right there at your fingertips. It also serves as a wonderful cue card. For example, if I click here and go to my home screen, let's say that I have here a list of all my different clients in my Workspaces area, or at least the clients that I'm doing deep, heavy work for. And one of those clients calls me out of the blue that I haven't worked with in several months. It sure is nice that when that person calls me out of the blue and starts talking about an arcane document that's rarely used or a topic that I haven't thought much about, I can simply click on their name like that. And right here in front of my face, I can see all of the people involved and the key topics and the relevant documents as well. This helps really pop that information right back into my head and bring me to that mental place that I need to be to service that client immediately as well as possible. This is a very important aspect of Verifyle. And what we found is that people in your industry initially start using Verifyle because of the security that we bring to all of their communications that allows them to rest well at night. But if you talk to them after they've been using Verifyle for 6 months or a year or so, what you'll find out is this ability to keep this information all in one place, well organized, is what really resonates with them and keeps them using Verifyle. Okay, moving forward here. If I click on the home screen here, you can see a number of workspaces. I want to point out a couple of workspaces that I built out in advance that I think you will find parallel some of your actual working situation. This workspace right here, Company ABC, Financial Reports and Records, is perhaps reflective of some situations where you're helping people out with their businesses. If I click on this workspace, click, I can see a number of guests here. These are guests, executives inside of Company ABC with whom I can communicate one-to-one anytime I would like by simply clicking on their name, right? And I've also set up workspace threads from sales planning to management financials, tax-related, and loan information so that I can selectively share information with just the right groups of people. So not only am I protecting this company's information, but I'm really stewarding that information professionally to them as well, keeping them well organized. Let's go back and take a look at another workspace for Rockefeller family here. Some of you might work with perhaps high net worth individuals who handle a number of family matters as well as business interests for their family. The Rockefeller family might be one such example. So if I click on this workspace, let's say that Ricky Rockefeller is my main contact within the Rockefeller family workspace, and he has a number of immediate and extended family members who are very interested in his various dealings, such as Rhonda Rockefeller and also Susie's stepsister. Okay. He also has a number of professional services providers, such as Larry Lenderbank, his business partner Ed Executive, and also Arnold Advisor, who are very interested in his many different documents, such as his asset list, his life insurance policy, and also his last will and testament. It sure is nice for Ricky Rockefeller that using workspace threads such as tax considerations, estate planning, and legal requirements, I can set up groups through which I can selectively share information with these different individuals in his family and different professional services providers. And also have confirmation that these individuals have looked at or downloaded this information. This all helps me add to my ability not only to act as a CPA to service my client, Ricky Rockefeller, and also a business advisor and so on and so forth, but to act as a professional steward of his information, making sure that just the right people in his network, be they family members or professional services providers, get access to just the right information and have a record for that as well. So I'm upping my game as a professional service provider in dealing with Ricky Rockefeller. And a nice side benefit of that is that I also get exposure to some of the folks in his network, some of whom may become clients of mine in the future. Okay, let's go back home here. Something I wanted to point out to you is that if you go to the Contacts tab, not only can you click on the plus symbol and add individuals on a individual by individual basis, but you also have the ability to bulk import contacts from other software systems using the CSV file format, which is the standard file format that software companies use to export and import contact information. If I bulk import contacts to Verifyle, the nice thing about that is that I will have that contacts list immediately set up inside of Verifyle so that I can very quickly and easily communicate securely on a one-to-one basis with any of those people in my contacts list. Also, when I'm setting up workspaces, I don't have to think about adding their names and their email addresses and so on and so forth. I just pull those people into the workspaces and that information's already filled. Okay, if you need some help importing contacts to Verifyle in bulk, you can simply go to youtube.com and type in Verifyle contacts. You'll find a mini tutorial video there that shows you exactly how to do it. If you still get stuck, just let us know and we'd be happy to help you out. Just email support@verifyle.com and we can show you how to do that. Okay, one more thing here. You all need to know that at any time you can click on your name at the top right and then click on account settings, and that enables you to edit your name, change your email address. You can also edit your signature. You can swap out the COCPA default logo for any logo of your choosing. You can see exactly how much of your Cellucrypt encrypted storage inside of Verifyle that you have used. So I've used 14 megabytes of 100 gigabytes, which is a tiny, tiny fraction of 1% of my storage space here. You can see here that I have alerts on automatic send. I highly suggest that you leave that on. That is what sends email alerts automatically to people whenever you add messages or documents to share with them. Document activity alerts, I have that as on. That is what allows you to automatically receive alerts whenever somebody looks at, downloads, or shares a document that you've shared with them to another person via Verifyle. And you can see here that I have message edit on. You have the option to turn that off if you would like by just clicking here. And you can see that block list, I am blocking 0 users. Blocking someone inside of Verifyle is not a bad thing. It simply makes it so that that person, when they share something with you inside of Verifyle, you will not receive an email alert about that. So, for example, there's someone in my office here who's sharing information with me just about every single day in Verifyle. I'm also in Verifyle all the time. and we're talking all the time, I don't need an email alert whenever that person shares information with me, so I can block that person. Okay, in terms of security settings here, I can change my password by clicking here. I can click here to go into session management in Verifyle, which will allow me to see if I have any Verifyle sessions open on other browsers or other devices, and I can log out of those. I can also use this very important feature that I would encourage all of you to set. This feature is that I can click on the slider right here to indicate to Verifyle the amount of time after which, if I have been inactive in Verifyle, the Verifyle system will automatically sign me out. I generally like to have that at about an hour. This is especially important if you forget to log out of your Verifyle system, or if you happen to be someone who uses public use computers a lot. Okay, two-factor authentication is on. You might recall that from the beginning of today's presentation. You can turn that on and off here. We also have password reset capability, which is currently on. You have the ability to turn off password reset capability inside of Verifyle, which is an extremely powerful security feature. Let me give you a little bit of background here. Arguably, the biggest security weakness on the internet today is that posed by email. There's a huge black market out there for email credentials. If somebody gets a hold of your email credentials, there's a high likelihood they'll be able to gain full access to your email account. If they get into your email account, what they'll do is they will go through your various folders, your sent box, your trash box, et cetera, and look for monetizable information. Some hackers will go beyond that and look for information indicating what various online services that you're using. They'll go to those online services and they'll look for the link which reads something like, "Help me, I need a new password," or "I'd like to reset my password." Upon clicking that link, they will wait in your hijacked email account for a password reset email to arrive and proceed to reset as many of your passwords across those various services as they can, effectively hijacking a good portion of your online identity. This is a major risk, and this is happening to people every single day. With Verifyle, you have the ability to completely shut down that type of attack by turning off password reset capability. I have turned off password reset capability and rest very well at night knowing that I've done so. However, I also understand that by doing that, I have taken full responsibility for my encryption and for my security inside of Verifyle. This is a nice way of me saying that I have written that password down and put it someplace very safe because I know that I absolutely cannot forget that password. If you turn off password reset capability inside of Verifyle and you forget your password, you will not be able to access that information again. And we also cannot help you access that information. We can't even see your information. So you will lose that information, all right? Again, I've turned off password reset capability inside of Verifyle and rest well at night knowing that I have done so, but I've taken the full responsibility of writing that password down and putting it someplace safe. I suggest that you do the same if you use this feature. If you start moving down the path of turning off password reset capability, you'll be given ample warning about this. I probably just scared off a number of you, and for some others of you, you probably think this is exactly what you've been looking for, but that's your decision to make. Okay, so I'm going to go back home now, and hopefully all of you now have a very good sense for how you can use your Verifyle Pro system, which again, you get access to Verifyle Pro and unlimited signatures capability at no charge as a result of the partnership between Verifyle and COCPA. Remember, at any time that you're working inside of Verifyle, if things are unclear, what do you want to do? You want to go to the gear, all right? And there you'll see a number of different options. Also keep in mind that there are just two major areas inside of Verifyle. There's the contacts area, and there is also the workspaces area. You should know that there is no file size limit inside of Verifyle, And you should know that information that you put inside of Verifyle remains inside of Verifyle, right? There's no expiration time limit or anything like that. Particularly if you're working inside of a workspace for which you are the host, you should know that you, as the host of the workspace, have the ability to delete any document that you want just by clicking on the gear symbol and clicking delete, right? You also have the ability to delete any workspace thread that you would like by simply going to that particular workspace thread, clicking on the gear symbol, and clicking on delete thread. Again, only you can do that because you're the host of the workspace. And then finally, you should keep in mind that yes, you can delete a workspace if you would like to. And you can do that by clicking home, going to that particular workspace. And let's say that I want to delete the workspace client, Christine Carson. All I need to do is click on the gear symbol. And first of all, I'm going to archive the workspace. That's the first step in deleting a workspace. So if I click on Archive Workspace, you can now see that the client Christine Carson workspace is no longer in this active colored workspace area. But if I click here on Archive, we can see the workspace in gray in the Archive area. And if I click on the gear symbol here, I have the option to unarchive the workspace, which would pop it back up into the active workspaces area. And by the way, if somebody adds information to this workspace, such as a message or a document, it would also automatically kick the workspace back up into the active colored area. And finally, if I want to actually go forward and delete this workspace, I just click here, delete workspace. And now you can see that the client Christine Carson workspace is gone. Okay. Hopefully you've all taken away a lot of information from today's presentation and feel like you can be up and rolling with Verifyle very quickly and easily. Thank you.